Good morning. Thank you, Juliet, that beautiful music. And welcome this morning to gather to celebrate our beloved classmates. I'm Sarah Carrico, and on behalf of the Memorial Committee, we welcome you to celebrate. So, Kate, I'd like to cue the tolling of the Lowell House Mother Earth bell. 3 tolls to begin our time together this morning. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is John Spira-Savett, and like all of you, I'm here to remember friends and honor their memory and their lives. I am a clergy person among the class, a rabbi. Yet I think I am in front of you not so much as a religious leader, but as one of many in our class who are with people at times of loss and remembrance. Clergy and chaplains, yes, and also nurses, social workers, physicians, grief counselors, therapists, family and estate attorneys, and financial advisors, and people who are confided in and give care in so many ways. And though we may be professionals, if any of you who do any of those things are like me, you still don't ever know exactly what to say or do when someone has died and are petrified of doing it wrong. So let me say the most important thing, which is perhaps the only important thing, that we are here especially for you who are remembering a loved one and for you who are remembering a friend or friends. All of our departed classmates deserve the honor of our setting aside time for them without hurry. This particular room is where many of us came when we were still just teenagers to study about the purposes of life and the concept of a good life. So it is fitting to come back here for this remembrance and as a conclusion to our reunion. We have been here the past few days reflecting on our time at Harvard, on our learning and our connections. We are thankful for all of that. And on this last morning together, we paused to reflect on something even more basic, which is simply being alive and having been alive here together for a few years. Originally, we were each selected to be at Harvard to play a role in the university's big project, predicted to have something to offer humanity through our learning and our service. We might well have ended up in other places. But once we got here, this was also the place where each day we had the blessing of life itself, taking each breath, the miracle of every day we had alive. This became the place where we loved and were loved during that phase of our lives, where we met people with infinite and unique value, where we were ourselves seen that way, beyond the value of any of our contributions to even the high purposes for which we were brought together. So here today, we reflect on the preciousness of life itself and the irreplaceability of each life, not just mortality, but vitality. We are grateful that while we were here, we lived, we breathed, we loved, and were loved. We do so as we mourn classmates who are irreplaceable in our lives, in our community, and in the cosmos. Classmates whom we loved and who loved us, whom we learned with and learned from in our studies and as human beings. And those who were just a beautiful part of the backdrop, a face or a name whose recognition even now makes us smile. No matter when our classmates died, or whether they died from illness, long or short, or injury, or accident, or suicide, no matter how they lived and what legacy they have left, they all died too soon. So again, most importantly, we shift from the lighter joy of the reunion for a time, so we can console everyone for whom one or more of these losses is closest. The ceremony has a kind of religious form, but not all of our classmates who have died were religious at all or in the same way. We couldn't track all of that down and make a perfect synthesis. So we have drawn from many idioms, not just one. All of us who worked on this gathering hope that at least some of the words and symbolic acts arrive at your heart with the generosity we have intended. May this time together be a comfort.
Good morning. I am Father Norman Whitmire, one of the clergy persons in our class, and I would like for you to join me in the responsive reading. You may remain seated. We gather this morning for our classmates to remember and mourn them with a wide range of emotions. Some of us. It is good to be together. It is good to honor them. Was missing in the weekend and our lives. We think of them, we celebrate, laugh, affirm, cry, mourn. We pray that the friendship we shared with them allows us to remain connected in memory. Grief and sorrow may become easier to bear. We are grateful for the time we had with our departed friends, though we wish we had the gift of more years together. Connected to life, may those we remember be held in the love of those gathered. And may we know that we are held together by a love that is beyond understanding, but never beyond our reach. And together, let us say, Amen.
Jeffrey Dorfman.
Thomas Mayer.
Michael Kelson.
Trong Nguyen.
Emmons Collins.
Buzz Nathaniel Crane.
Susan Wojcicki.
Sylvia Leticia Garcia. Adrian Martinez.
Charlie Chaz Kempf.
Stephen Andrew Brown.
Kate Ford Laird. Michael Volmer.
Maria Elizabeth Sykas.
Eric Westby.
Harry Rothschild.
Joseph Meredith.
Roger Chapman.
Robert Ruffin.
William Silverman.
Mark Fraterola.
Charlotte Hyunmi Kim.
Beatrice Chakumba Inyama.
Jennifer Fry.
Gad Johannes Gross.
Teresa Ann Mullen.
Brett Williams.
Richard Karn.
Henry Kwok.
David Chang.
Richard Spoons.
J. Richard Walker, MD.
Joe Shin.
Louis Chareau. Peter Honeywell.
Courtney Henry.
Cynthia Bowles-Daylord.
Terrence Layton.
Thank you for remembering them with us, and we'll now have a responsive reading with you as we remember them. In the rising of the sun and breaking of day, in the blowing of the wind and crescendo of tides, in the fall when the yard is ablaze in gold and crimson hues, when the chill of winter shakes the branches and students sled down Widener's steps still, in the blueness of sky and perfume of spring, in the full bloom of summer and the start of each new year, in the early morning moonlight, when the stars still reflect upon the Charles, in the many moments when we may long for them and are in need of connection, we will reach out to each other and remember them. We carry them with us in our hearts for now and forever. Amen.
See
We invite you to look at the shimmering stars of our class above. May we hold them in our hearts and open this time. If anyone would like to stand and share a story or a remembrance. And if not, in the brunch, we will have this book that will carry forward with our class, and we'll have pens. And you can write remembrances and stories that our class will carry forward with us, and we can share with the families of our beloved classmates. So we'll open it up. Here, Karen.
My Exeter classmate, Terry Mullen, had cystic fibrosis, and she wasn't sure that she would live long enough to go to college. So she went to Exeter, thinking that would be in lieu of getting to have a college experience in life. But she lived long enough to come here and be a student, which was very beautiful to see.
Thank you, Karen.
First day I met Charlie was freshman year, and he had taken over one of the little offices up at the top of the science center. And he had all his stuff laid out. But I knew he was a freshman because I could see all the books, the same books. But when I went up there, he goes, "Oh, come on in, we'll study together." And that was the essence of Charlie Kemp. He'd do anything for you and give you the shirt off his back. So I still think of him almost every day.
Oh, I just wanted to remember Eric Westby. I didn't know him personally, but I saw him sing with the Crocs many times. He was just incredibly talented, amazing spirit, and so I saw his name. I just wanted to remember him and seeing him in this
Gross was a newsweek photographer who still do that. And I think about him a lot, and I wonder what he would be today. Remember that we have to support people who go risk their lives for us.
I'd like to take a moment to remember Beatrice, or Bee, as we used to call her. And she died of metastatic breast cancer. She discovered it when she was pregnant with her second child, a girl, 18, who just graduated with honors from Berkeley and is now studying some scientific stuff I don't understand. She is looking down and it's so
I thought I'd say a word about Kate Ford, Kate Blair, really become so many stories about her, not the longest life, but the fullest life. I will say that her one regret when she died 2 falls ago was she said she wouldn't get to read her child's senior thesis, and the senior thesis, she was a senior at Yale, majoring in marine biology, and Anna said to her, "You are my thesis."
I just wanted to say a few things about Stephen Brown. He was my freshman roommate. He had a wonderful sense of adventure. He loved the outdoors. He was a huge member of the outing club, loved climbing, loved rappelling, and loved adventuring. And he had that adventurous spirit that he carried all his life. But he was also a brilliant mind, brilliant biochemist. And unfortunately, died too soon.
A moment to remember our classmate Joel Shin. I knew him from when he was 11. We grew up together in Alabama. He was actually 2 years younger than us, and because he was very gifted, ended up graduating with our class. He gave the Latin oration at our graduation. A truly brilliant person, but also self-deprecating and sweet.
I also want to remember Eric Westby. He was the first openly gay man that I met at Harvard. He was a good friend, and we were in the Crocodillos together and traveled around the world. And he gave me courage because he was so courageous. And he was quirky and he was odd, but he had the best scat singing ability, bar none, of anybody at Harvard. So he would get up on that stage and he would bounce around and just sing his soul and his heart out. And we stayed friends, and he was just a brilliant person and a wonderful role model for me.
I so admire her work with the Guttmacher Institute and all the incredible book recommendations she always gave me, which that role hasn't really been replaced in my life since her passing. And she gave me one of the best pieces of wisdom or advice that I've ever gotten, which was, when you have children, your priorities are just so clear. I was like, well, what do I do? What am I interested in? And she's like, well, your kids will help you focus.
I'd like to remember my friend Rich Walker. When we were undergrads, he and I were in WHRB together, and I may or may not have had a little bit of a crush on him, but we were in the news department together, and we worked closely together, and got to know each other really well. And it turned out that we both ended up at Stanford together, he in med school and I in law school. And so we maintained our friendship. And he realized that I was having a bit of a hard time in law school. And he checked up on me a lot and made sure that I was okay and encouraged me. And I'm not sure that I would have graduated from law school without that encouragement. And so that meant a lot to me. And yeah, so he was a really good guy. And I really appreciated him and his friendship and his encouragement.
I wanted to say a few words about Charlotte Kim. In the summer before she died, she had arranged this enormous, we were all high from our 20th reunion, and she had arranged this huge group of women to come visit in Boulder, Colorado, where I live. And it was just incredible because it merged so many different groups, and we had these activities and just sitting around outside or hiking. Like, it was so super fun. And we all left delighted from this experience. And then soon after that, we learned that she had passed. And I thought, I mean, it was shocking and terrible and sad, but then I thought it was so like Shar to have planned her own going away party for all of us so that we had all of this memory to share to comfort us with her being gone.
As Batman and Robin. and I was Batman because I was just so much bigger than her. It made me sense for me to be Batman and her to be Robin, but really it was the other way around. She was Batman for all, for so many of us. And like Val said, she just was our leader for getting together and having community. And this is our first in-person reunion without her, and we all really miss her. But I also feel so close to her thanks to our class, and I appreciate everybody who is going with her.
And I'd like to add the acknowledgement of Charlotte's family with us today as well.
The way she touched me was one of those many very girl gatherings, and I came to visit the parent business school, and she was there, and she encouraged me, I need to do this, and that, and you know, she was through all the things, and she wake up at 5 in the morning. She was so much, yeah. I don't want to say a word about Jennifer, who was our friend in Washington, D.C. We didn't know Jen, she was in the field of journalism. She was the first woman to go to sports casting room in the locker room that had elementary schools. So she was also a life force and a trailblazer. And I know summer, I just started, I remember that all of us have lost friends, and in my case, siblings with that despair since COVID, and where addiction or anything that takes us away from people who love Jesus.
I'd like to acknowledge Dr. Joseph Meredith, who I grew up with in Mississippi. Our fathers were both involved in the civil rights movement. And throughout our youth, he was a great fighter, both on the playground, he was always getting into fights, but also just as for his friends, he was always fiercely there. And when he came here, and I was here as well, it was such a treat. And to lose him early to health issues was very difficult. He has a daughter, Jasmine, who I am sending notes about this to today. And one of my favorite moments in the past year was that I work in film, and I was looking at a film that was about his father, and he spoke so proudly of Joseph and the work that he did and what he was doing, and seeing him on that screen, especially because his father was definitely very tough with praise, to see just how he blossomed and what he meant to so many people, and the work that he did was just really very special, and we all miss him.
And I thought, oh my gosh, how is that even possible? One Joe Mary in this world is so amazing. He was such a gentleman, and he was such a wonderful person. Complicated too. And it's very sad to say that he also lost his son. So think about
I want to recognize Pete Honeywell, who was a very good friend and a roommate, and certainly a complicated guy. But one thing I think I remember about him more than anything is he had a fearless sense of adventure. And it's one we exercise, sometimes for attention. But as I grow older and have children of my own, it's something I hope I put the willingness to travel.
Right after, so my dad died in 1991. My dad died in 1991, and I had to take care of a lot of affairs. And after that, it took about 3 years, but I studied Chinese and had a deep desire to go back and sort of enjoy some more adventure in life. And Pete was in Hong Kong at the time. And, you know, when you're sort of down, you meet someone who just has a sense of adventure that sparks that life again. Pete was one of those guys where brilliant, dynamic, adventurous, and my last memory of him, as you might expect, was him. It was at a bar, it was late at night, he had someone with him, and they hopped on his motorcycle and said, "We're off," and he sped off into the darkness, just relentless and free. It was a really funny memory, but that was the sort of guy that Pete was. And thank you for that. Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
When I heard that North Carolina passed, I remember being so excited because he'd always been there. He was someone who always led a smile, always was inclusive, always was kind. And the fairness of all of us here, I feel like is also just such a powerful reminder of how fortunate we all are to have shared this space, this community, with those classmates of ours and those we love who are no longer here. But the fairness is something, the presence and the warmth and that kindness is something that I hold.
I'll speak for Joe Meredith as well. He was my roommate for 4 years here at Harvard. We met as we were part of the group that we had the 350th celebration at Harvard before our freshman year. We had an opportunity to work that week. So we really had a chance to really connect then. And he was an incredibly bright, gentle person. Even through some of his health issues at school, health issues while going to school here, continue to just be a shimmering light of how to be a good friend. And then Harry Rothschild was also another of my roommates for 3 years, part of 3 years. He was in East Asian study and he had gone to study in China for a semester. And then he had come back, and then the Human Square massacre. And so I remember him knocking on my door, at 4 in the morning, and says, "I gotta get back." He fell in love with the girl art, and there was no communication. He didn't know where she was. And he just said, "I gotta find her." When Harry, he's a 6'4", shot put on the track team, curly hair, one shine up, and all this stuff was going on. But that's kind of loyalty that generation.
As we're sharing these memories, I invite the ribbon bearers to, as we're filling our hearts with these stories, spark those lights as reminders of those stars and light that all of our classmates have been in the past, and to help us carry that forward and to see one more time if there's anyone down here who would like to share. So I invite you to light the little lights up on the balcony, stars above.
So I want to share something about Susan Wojcicki. So I was honored to be her roommate for a little while, for some time. The summer after sophomore year, I remember we had such a wonderful summer. Jim was there, and we shared an apartment together in Somerville, and it was just, she was just always so interested in different things. She was always pursuing some new interest or activity. And that summer, she was studying architecture. And we didn't see her as much as we would have liked to because she was always off, staying very late there. But we shared some very special times. And then in Cabot House, and I tried to keep up with her some through the years. Her career sort of took her in a place where many people knew her. And it was only in recent years we had begun to reconnect. And I was really lucky to be able to see her more over the last couple of years, and we're talking about getting to spend more time together, and she seemed very focused on being able to spend more time together. And I was happy that our places in life had come to where we could be friends again. And when we got the news last summer that she had passed, it was just so shocking. So many of us I know were touched by her, and it's very hard for all of our classmates. But I wanted to say something to Susan and thank her for what she did for all of us and what she did for the world.
Now, I'd like to add about Susan. I knew her before I met her right before we started college in California. And like Shannon said, what struck me about her is that she was interested in so many things. And she was so busy all the time, but when she was with you, she seemed like there was nothing else going on. And she really, she had a big life, a big career, a big family. But when she was with you, it felt like everything else stopped. And I think that's such a beautiful trait that I hope that
Yeah, I wanted to also say something about Susan. So some of you might know I was actually her roommate sophomore year when she was a Hist and Lit major, and who knew what would happen after that. But I just, in terms of her digging deep into anything and really do it with gusto, some of you might know she also died of lung cancer despite being a never smoker. And I'm actually a thoracic oncologist who specializes in patients who never smoked. And so we spent a lot of time in the last few years of her life together, and I just want to say she really fought to the end. It was really remarkable, her attitude in terms of treatment, and she really was pushing the boundaries of what was possible all the way to the very end, and that was Susan.
I'm going to say a little something about Susan as well, and just Susan's just pioneering of also women's right in the workplace was stunning. And it all started, actually, I don't know if folks know the story, but she was pregnant and had just left another job when she met Larry and Sergey, actually. And so there was this, so she was sort of advising them while she was pregnant. And then there was a joke sort of within Google early that like every time something major happened, Susan was still, she had many children. She was still pregnant. She was still in the workplace. But she really became a pioneer. But I mean, there are so many, within Google, there are so many product lore stories of how Susan was very much the strategic guider who took over projects that didn't work and was fixing them while she had another child. And so it was a lore, but it actually paved the way for a lot of people in the workplace. It's a way I remember her, actually. I saw her at Google once in one of these states, so.
I'd like to remember Henry Clark. We were friends in college and also friends in law school. We also got an MBA. He unfortunately died of a brain aneurysm at age 28. He had recently gotten married, and I spoke with him before he passed away, and he was very happy. So I'm really happy for him that his last memories were joyful, although I was very sorry for his widow because they had just gotten married within less than a year. But I would say that, he's been gone 28 years. When we were friends, we all had so much expectation of what he was going to do. Some people you can just tell they're going to do something great. And so we all felt sort of cheated when he died at 28 that we were not able to see what great things he would do. But I'm very happy that he actually died at a very happy point in his life.
I'd like to just speak on behalf of a couple of our classmates. One who hasn't been mentioned, except for our Roger Chapman, who was a member of the soccer community, the Quincy House community, just one of the brightest spirits. I had the fortune after school, we lived in the same town, New Jersey, for his last 15 years. The last 10 of which we found out in mesothelial lymph, and you could just never tell from his energy, his positivity, that he was sick until
Sunderella, which is really moving. We have Henry Block as well, as one of my best friends during freshman year. We were in Reno. We always, after showing us that we didn't go for Pulte in Boston, we would, just end up talking for, until early hours in the morning. He died before our 10th. It's really special that he's still being remembered more than 25 years later. And then Brett Williams, many of the story that he really gave from the humblest of beginnings. He come to Harvard, he took a Greyhound bus from Memphis, Tennessee, probably most of the world possessions, and it's just, none of it would say it's, the person not measured by just the heights they achieve, but the obstacles which they overcome to get there. And it's what makes this Harvard community so special. Is we bring it better, and I think why we're all so passionate about what we do right now, because these classes are so special. So everybody, there's so many other names to talk about, so I just want to mention this.
I'd like to remember Don Meyer. He was in Middlesbrough for 8 with me, and as Simo said, he's one of the reasons why he got to Harvard. He was very much a philosopher, and I didn't understand the word what he was going on about his thoughts. Bringing in names I'd never heard of, but it got me more curious, and that's, I think, the beauty of this place, is the mark that people leave on you in terms of different ways of seeing life, and so I appreciate that I know
Jeffrey Dorfman was one of the reasons I came to Harvard, and Mark Fraterolo was one of the reasons I stayed when things got hard freshman year. And I'm having trouble with words. So Karen, I'm going to write what I want to say, most of what I want to say about Jeffrey, and I'm going to send Mark's mom a letter, but I'll try a bit. I don't have words to describe Mark Fraterolo, but I think I hear his voice, and he's like, guys, you came. Becky, the music, Don, the ribbon. You all should have gone to Mather House, though, right? Like, that's, because Mather House, right? And if you knew Mark, you know what I mean. I'm sorry, I can't figure out how to say it better, Marky. And Jeff, I wish I could have had even more opportunity to be close to him, because I think that he was one of those people where you have one or two really important conversations, but life is in different places, so you don't get a lot of time with them. He was a practicing Orthodox Jew and very committed to it when he came, and still at the end of his life. And I met him at the pre-freshman weekend when I was trying to decide where to go to school. And we had a remarkable conversation, and he took me to Hillel as his guest, and he shared with me all sorts of wonderful things about growing up on Long Island. And he was already a volunteer EMT as a high school student. He already knew he wanted to be a scientist. He went on to become a professor of virology. He was practicing in South Africa when he passed. He leaves a wife and 2 daughters, and if you followed their Facebook page, it looks like they had a very active role in their religious community and also in their larger community, and were very good friends, and I'm sure Karen this morning has lost deeply. He passed a year ago, April. And he was the kind of person who, 40 years later, when you get a medical illness, you can Facebook friend him and he'll talk you through it, which he did for my family. And the world's just a little dimmer without those two here.
So nobody said anything about Rob Ruffin. And he used to really piss me off. There was a bunch of us that lived in the Bay Area just after we graduated, and Rob was just a little more ahead in life than the rest of us. He was great in business. He was driving a beautiful car when we were riding bikes. And he knew every important sports moment that had ever taken place, which I was in awe of. Every movie, he knew the best line, who said it, who said what after that. So you really couldn't make a point without him just being way ahead of you. He had a specific meaning in my life, which was whenever I didn't know something that was really important, he'd be right there just shaking his head how do you think that Chianti is kept in the fridge? I don't know, I don't drink Chianti. He said, go get it. I'm in the kitchen looking for the Chianti in the fridge. And he's like, we just keep that out here. It's not chilled. And also, it was good to know that, if you just have a pepper grinder, don't put, pepper that's already ground in the pepper grinder. He's like, Chuck, everything gourmet with the double ground pepper in the pepper grinder. So, yeah, Rob was amazing. He was just a quiet superstar, and super thankful I got to know him.
I just want to remember Richard Karn. He was the first guy that I met when I arrived. I had never visited. I had no idea what to expect. And he came down to help me unload the car. And it turned out he was my roommate. And he gave me a very warm and surprisingly festive welcome. And he was another one of these 16-year-old freshmen. And he was just a young guy with a very warm heart.
Thank you all.
Thank you all, and in addition to the way we're honoring our classmates, our loved ones, just what we have offered to each other just by giving us one another the opportunity to be together in this way, to linger. We know it's early, we know we're hungry, and thank you. I wrote in my notes that we shouldn't feel that we have to leave when we finish this ceremony, which we will in a moment. It's past our time, but apparently the university isn't kicking us out. So you can linger and talk if you like, share more memories and support, or make a place here for quiet and solitude. I want to acknowledge that people who today, the musicians, the volunteers who put this together, and those who worked on it beforehand, and to acknowledge and thank Sarah for really designing this time that we have together, and then everyone from the university before and here today for making the space available and making things work for us. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel taught, "Death is not the end of being, but rather the end of doing. Things of space vanish, moments of time never pass away. Time lived with meaning is a disclosure of the eternal." As we hear the bells one more time and some music as we linger or depart, may the moments of time we had together with our classmates and loved ones be eternal. Thank you all for making this time to be here for each other. May we all go out in peace.
For all the family members who might be here. So please, if you want me to meet us over there, and we'd love to give you some flowers. And everyone else, I'll have this book over by the brunch if you want to add more memories. Thank you all. Go in peace.